Anti-corruption campaigners say President Akufo-Addo must act tough to end illicit gold trading and other financial flows in Ghana. Original, a safety standards-oriented company, has identified Ghana as a major illegal gold trading route, with export destinations being Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and India. The report comes on the back of a recent Al Jazeera investigation in which a Canadian was busted over the smuggling of more than $40 million through Ghana annually. We'll hear from Edem Senano shortly. First, here's a report by my colleague Kwekwa Santi detailing the recent report by Origin Oil and Al Jazeera investigation.
The investigative unit of Al Jazeera in their 4-part investigations into gold smuggling in Africa revealed that gold smuggler Aisha Matthias smuggles around 40 million worth of gold out of Ghana every month. At least that is what he claims. Aisha Matthias, a Canadian national, allegedly launders money for people all over the world, including African politicians. Aisha Matthias claims President Akufo-Addo is a good friend of his and even used to be his lawyer. This allegation has been denied by legal counsel to the president, Cole Esuman, who has said President Akufo-Addo has not been in private practice since the year 2000, and neither has the president nor his law firm, Akufo-Addo, Prempeh & Co., acted as lawyer for this Aisha Matthias. Just this week, originally, a safety standards-oriented company on its illicit trading data map identified Ghana as a major illegal gold trading route with export destinations being Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and India. In its report on the global illicit economy, originally noted that, quote, local gold refineries are being extensively used to launder gold from illicit sources in an artisanal mining sector involving several million people, forced labor, and high risks, unquote. In an assessment of the trade data between Ghana and its 3 major gold trading partners, Switzerland, India, and the United Arab Emirates, it revealed that over 6 billion worth of gold exports remain unaccounted for from 2013 to 2016. The figure is expected to rise significantly if all export and import data between all of Ghana's gold trading partners were to be examined.
We can now listen to anti-grafts campaigner Edem Senano, who says without real action by government and other state agencies, Ghana will continue to bleed of revenue and its international reputation will be stained.
Well, we say leadership is cost, everything else is effect. Everything rises and falls on the back of leadership. So, and obviously you have leadership at different levels. The first thing would have been for the president himself to say, look, who are those within, who are the stakeholders within the sector who can give us a better understanding? That's assuming they don't have that understanding already. Because in my mind, if government was clear in its mind about the gap, the lacuna we face and its impact on the nation, they ought to have, through the policy thinking, analysis, formulation, come up with a law, come up with a system to deal with this. So probably demonstrates to us that there's a gap in the understanding of what is going on. And the best thing to do would be to have a stakeholder engagement, those in the sector, those who have an understanding like Dr. Aka here, to tell them what is going on and therefore begin to say we set up a small team to look at what type of legislation and what type of institutional framework we need in place to deal with this matter. So I would expect the presidency to take a stand on this. And then the investigative bodies, both from the CID part to any other agencies that have the mandate on this, to begin to look at it and say, what are borders safe? Are they watching the vehicles coming in? How is the gold being transported? Who you could even, if there's assaying going on and it's a good place indirectly to do a backward investigation to go and find out. We have names and contacts of people who've been here. Can that give us leads as to who may be moving gold through the country? I think that there's work that can be done at least at these 2 levels. And Parliament can take an interest as well, because they do have supervisory oversight for government and what it does.
Executive Director of Ghana Gold Expo, Dr. Stephen Blessenaka, says PMMC must do enough due diligence to check the sources of gold and when they are headed.
PMMC or the ASEA will have a records of gold that is having, but for the export, you can never know because the refineries cannot certify the amount of gold that leaves Ghana. So this is the major problem. The other issue of why this is happening in terms of the logistics is that we don't have insurance companies that provide insurance for the small-scale mining sector. So what happens is that the national ASEA still comes on board to say that, okay, I'm going to assay the gold and Emirates is exporting the gold. But the question has to be, you are the official owner of the gold. So as a trader, what insurance company are you using? Once you have the insurance company, of course, there's a value on that. So you'll be able to also track to know that this is the value, this is the quantum of gold that is being insured. But there's no, because insurance has to be on transit. We don't have all these things. So what happens is it's like the country has been focusing on extracting gold, talking about galamsey, illegal money, but where the chunk of the money, which has to do with the trade value, that focus on responsible sourcing, nobody is talking about it. And Dubai, which is your major trade exit, has put in place certain mechanism that if the gold comes from Burkina, Dubai will never accept the gold. If the gold comes from Mali, the Dubai company refinery will never accept the gold because the LBMA programs always run an audit on the responsible sourcing refineries because Dubai is not an LBMA.
All efforts to get the government to comment on the matter has proved futile. Now to other stories. Suspension of work on the Nungua Junction Interchange is creating anxiety, frustration and anger among commuters using the stretch towards Accra Central. Until about 2 months ago, the commencement of work on the interchange remained a source of excitement and relief for residents and road users. Checks by Joy News show work on the otherwise beautiful and most anticipated project has stalled, causing a lot of inconvenience for both motorists and other road users. Fatia Eli has more in this report.
I'm standing right in front of the project signboard, which gives us a brief background. What is the project? It says the Labadi Beach Road Completion Project, Phase 2. It consists of 2 sections comprising the Accra to Tema Coastal Road and Nungua Main Road. The project scope is covering the construction of bridge, road, drainage system, lighting, traffic, engineering, landscaping engineering, pipeline relocation, and other ancillary works along the said road stretch. What's more, the brief says the main road construction contents are 1-3-tier interchange at Nungua Junction, which is where I am standing. There is also 1 bridge over the Blekese stream. There's also 1 extension of railway bridge and about 7.71 kilometers of road upgrading works. So that is what the Labadi Beach Road Completion Project Phase 2 consists of. I am at the Junction Mall area where the flyover construction is underway. For the past 3 years, it's been nothing but excitement for residents. But can they say same today? We are in the 4th month of the year 2023. April is almost ending. And the question is, where are the contractors? Why has work stalled? There is no sight of any construction equipment. There's no sight of workers on site. So what is happening? And guess what? The situation gets worse when it rains. As we speak, those traveling from Nungua heading towards Tema, those traveling from Sakumono heading towards Tema, the road is just in more trouble. It's full of stagnant waters as a result of heavy downpour. I'll be taking the views of road users, passers-by, even residents, what they feel about the ongoing construction and what seems to be like stalled construction?
Well, I live around the area. I've been seeing the construction when it started, and now it's stalled. And it seems like they are not going to complete it. Now, it's very hazardous for both pedestrians and the drivers who are driving by. When it rains, the ground gets totally wet, traffic is a mess, and this thing is just stalled, sitting there. The government needs to do something about it. Where is the money that was supposed to be given to the contractors to do the job? This is dangerous, so they need to do something about it. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. But I'm just saying that Ghana needs to be ashamed of themselves, starting this project and then leaving it like that to be dangerous for the public.
I believe you were excited when you first saw the work starting. What was the impression? How did you feel when you saw that work has begun on this flyover or overhead bridge around the place?
It looked impressive at the beginning. I saw the picture right there. They said this is how it was going to look like. Can you point? So I was impressed because I live around the area. But then all of a sudden, it just stopped. They took the machines away. The public are using it, and it's dangerous. Number one, it's very dangerous because the roads are not done, and this project is just complete. Eventually, they're going to start climbing up there and doing all type of stuff, and it's going to be dangerous. Somebody's probably going to fall off the bridge and die.
For you as a pedestrian or any other road user, that can be very frustrating for you. I can imagine your frustration.
Yes, I'm very frustrated. I'm very frustrated. Either they do something to this bridge or remove it from here. It looks very bad and dangerous.
Thank you very much. So that's the thought of Theophilus. We'll get some more thoughts from other road users as much as possible. I have this driver here who uses the road often. Ora, good afternoon.
Oh, the me walk akra me walk and say I learned say yes say omo jai kwan
hello this ano this ni nim say e kwan no omo mo ye kwan no omo jai na omo san come back biom nemom since 3 days ni anso ato say sia catch me ka kwan nim kra traffic to me best 30 minutes to 1 hour. Can't call come back. Into no say I been to me try now. To be before yesterday. How now when you be from June July mu easy.
Me pacha your friend.
But your family prince.
So that's a conductor of a trotro driver who is also sharing his opinion. I have the driver who also wants to say something. Me pacha, what do you make of the state of the road?
Oh yeah, as I was saying. I learned say you see contractors now omo constructing road in the court and a be high empower because say no one day we are to no. Say if you cry is not we are not yet in the raining season. So imagine raining season, as you can see, the water is already flooded. So during raining season here it will be very difficult. So we plead to the government to see to us.
We'll get more views from other people who use the route and what they make of it.
Yeah, it's very bad. Very, very bad now. Look at your back. You find out that there's stagnant water everywhere. It's very, very bad. We need it to be improved.
May I know your name, please?
I'm somewhere busy.
How long have you been using this route?
Oh, ever since. I'm staying at Spinter, so I normally use here. It's very, very bad.
I can imagine the inconvenience it creates for you.
It's creates very inconvenient in traffic.
Meanwhile, Municipal Chief Executive of the Core Municipal Assembly, Joshua Nibote, has been assuring road users that government is taking urgent steps to ease their frustration and traffic situation on the stretch.
In road construction, some of these minute or some of these minor things happen. What is important is for us to fix it as early as possible so that pedestrians and the motorists can really enjoy the free flow of the traffic so that they can go about their normal duties. I've spoken to the consultant, and he has to bring some really pumping machine to just pump that water out and then get the place a little bit prepared. You know, they are halfway, not too much on site. You understand? So that is a challenge we are having. So there's a skeleton staff there who, from today to Friday, you see some changes that they have to make the place more travel. I was coming from Lashibi yesterday, and it was very, very bad. I had to sink in there less than a half. But in construction, road construction, some of these things happen. If they had been fully, they would not have been having some of these challenges. So when you get in front of the junction mall too, you have that experience. You are coming from Lashibi to that waterlogged thing is also there. It's been occurring, but we hope they'll come fully on site so that we clear this mess. I'll quote the mess. This mishap that is happening to drivers is really inconveniencing them. But I'll really appeal to their conscience that they should really, let's manage what we have. There are a lot of artillery distance that connections that they can use. So I pray anybody who is coming close to the interchange should use the Boade one or the beach drive through the Nautical College, which is unofficially not open to people. By the time when you get to the security men, they allow you to go through if you are going to Tema. I'm yet speaking to the director of the Ghana Maritime University so that at least we allow some traffic to go through their university so that it eases the tension. It's an emergency. We are treating it as emergency as possible. So we are not waiting for time. Is not on our side because we need to face it. Like you said, with the rains that is coming in, it might not be too good for us if we have to wait for the normal time for the people to come. So the roads minister has taken it up and he's directed the urban roads director to come and fix these problems as early as possible.
We're still live on Joy News today. We'll be back shortly with more. The Ghana Water Company Limited staff fear the company will be exposed to tension and chaos in a fragile economic time should Collins Nungua be admitted to the deputy management position of the company. The workers are fiercely resisting his nomination, saying he doesn't qualify for the position. In a protest at the headquarters this morning, they're asking its board to reject him and appoint someone else from within the company. Samuel Amu Kakwaba is a first national trustee of the National Secretariat of POO.
The chief of staff, and then we have copied the director of SIGA, we have copied the board chairman of Ghana Water, the managing director, the workers rep, and then the national POO, and the minister. Our position is very simple and clear. We want to state on record that we are not against the appointment of heads of entity by the presidency. But our concern is that the position of the managing director, it's an appointee of the presidency. But the deputy managing director, we believe it's a position that should be filled with people with both the technical and institutional knowledge of our operations. We also believe that the technical people would also help the managing director, who is a political appointment, to do his work appropriately. We also want to state that the profile of the purported nominee indicates that he lacks the requisite professional qualification to be a deputy managing director, F&A. By this, we want to encourage growth and succession planning in our institutions. So we want to entreat and encourage the appointing authority to also consider that. With this, we want to state that the appointing authority should reconsider the decision of the nominee for the position of Deputy Managing Director, Finance and Administration for Ghana Water.
My colleague Mamiesi Nyameche Thompson was at the headquarters. She's joined me in the studio. Mamiesi, tell me more about why they really want Collins Nungua out of the place as Deputy Managing Director.
Right. So, Aisha, as we know already, on top of the list of the reasons they are given is that he isn't qualified to be in that position as Deputy Managing Director of Finance and Administration. Okay. So they are needing somebody who has qualification in as a chartered accountant and also belong to a professional body of chartered accountants, which Collins Nungua is none of those. Also, they are saying that the current financial situation of the company doesn't make it prudent for the company to hire from outside. and that they have qualified personnel within the company that can also fill that same position. Okay. And also they said that, more personnel and more qualified personnel in the company who have the technical know-how and experience in the public sector can occupy this position. And so these are some of the reasons they are giving that Collins Nyama shouldn't be allowed to occupy that position.
Has there been any response from the board?
Indeed, we are aware that the board is supposed to be deliberating on the nominee today as we speak. Okay. We have yet to hear from them. And when we asked them also about it, they told us they haven't heard from them yet, even though they petitioned them and the Jubilee House as well.
All right. Mami Sinyamishe Thompson has been there monitoring this protest by the pool workers. We'll definitely bring you more as and when the board reacts to their demands. Let's get to other stories. And let's not reduce road crashes to numbers. Rather, consider the hopes of families that are dashed through these crashes. That's a call from the National Road Safety Authority as it calls on road users to remain safe. This call was made by Chairman of the NRSA, Mr. Jaman Nkrumah, at an ongoing stakeholders meeting in Accra. According to the National Road Safety Authority, road crashes have reduced from 734 in the first quarter of 2022 to 544 in 2023. But Mr. Nkrumah says, although the figures are worth celebrating, every life lost must count. My colleague James Aveji has joined me with more. All right, so we'll try and get James Aveji, who is monitoring this for us, to tell us more about how the National Road Safety Authority is working hard to ensure that the narrative changes. Let's get on to other stories. And there's a media report that suggests that a lot of journalists are paid low salaries. This report was launched yesterday by the Department of Communication Studies of the University of Ghana, and it's also detailed an extensive abuse of journalists in Ghana's media industry. The research partners Media Foundation for West Africa and shows male journalists also suffer more physical abuse than their female counterparts. The launch of the report is part of activities marking the 50th anniversary of the department. There's more in this following report by Fifi Komsing, Joy News editor.
The report captures many issues affecting Ghana's media and media freedoms, but key among the highlights was abuse of journalists. Politicians, police, and political fanatics were found to have been behind most of the abuses.
That masks the true picture.
Professor Audrey Gajipo presented highlights of the report.
So journalists feel insecure. They think that the environment they're working in is increasingly threatened. And so that there are violations to their safety, all kinds of violations.
In the study, less than 10% of journalists said they were, quote, definitely safe. Almost 25% said they were, quote, definitely not safe, while 64% said they were somewhat safe. Aside from the attacks, the report revealed many journalists are poorly paid, a situation that is fueling bribery and corruption.
Also, that many journalists work without contracts. This is a formal space, but many journalists work without contracts. There are no established structures for promotion, so it's not clear what will determine whether you'll be promoted or not. Again, it depends on the whim of the media manager, sometimes the media owner, and that sort of thing.
Also highlighted was what researchers described as political capture of the Ghanaian media. Ironically, the media under attack has also been captured by politicians. What the researchers described as political capture of the Ghanaian media. Politicians own most of Ghana's broadcast media, a situation that threatens accountability of politicians and people in government.
Partisan actors in our media space, and therefore these people can control our public discourse.
The launch of the report is part of activities marking the 50th anniversary celebration of the Department of Communication Studies. NMC Chairman Mr. George Sapon launched the report with former Trade Minister Dr. Ekos Piugabra.
Officially launch the State of the Ghana Media Report 2023. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
The launch of the report brought together alumni, faculty members, and other dignitaries. Some of them shared thoughts about the report.
The most important part of the report for me is that in spite of all the challenges that media personnel face, they still believe that the atmosphere is sufficient for them to create, to report, to participate in media freedom.
This is research, this is science, this is data that is verifiable, this is data that is telling us the lived experiences of journalists and their managers and owners in the industry. So if we are truly committed to building and developing our media industry, we must take on these findings and begin to, come up with initiatives that will bridge the various gaps, especially with the welfare issues.
And this is a good opportunity for people in the media to actually engage the people in academia to try and understand why some of these problems came up and what we can do to solve the problem. So for me, my greatest interest is that this should serve as a tool that will bring together academia and industry to look at ways we can improve the media landscape.
The Ghanaian media needs help. That's at the heart of this report that the authors hope will inform changes in the media landscape in Ghana. Fifi Kumsin, Joy News.
In the study, less than 10% of journalists said they were definitely safe. Almost 25% said they were definitely not safe, while 64% said they were somewhat safe. In the study, investigative journalist Anas Arimaya Manasseh Azuria Winnie, I beg your pardon, who is with the Fourth Estate, says media owners have a huge responsibility of reversing the situation.
These issues are not new. I think what is new to some aspects of it is, this report is the fact that they have been able to assign percentages or figures to some of the issues we've been dealing with. Anybody who has practiced in the media for the past 10 years in this country would realize that the past 6 years have not been the same. There have been repeated abuses, and the highlight of it being the murder of Ahmed Swali, which the state is doing very little or nothing to get to the bottom of it. So these issues for me are very important. Sometimes we talk about them on individual basis. Once it happens, we talk about them and then we leave it. But this is a report that goes beyond the journalists who have faced the attacks. And then you have quite close to a quarter of Ghanaian journalists surveyed for this report saying that they definitely are not safe. And I think that should be a great cause for concern.
Mm. The report also highlights the payment of journalists being very low. Does this in any way affect the quality of their job?
It definitely does. And what this does also is that it allows some of the finest brains to get poached by other industries. You have a lot of experienced journalists who now go into corporate communications or take up jobs elsewhere. And part of the reason is that they are not paid well. If you're a journalist on top of your game and you compare how much you earn to how much your colleagues who may not be as high as you earn in other industries, you won't be motivated to do this work, especially when you realize that the kind of risk you put yourself into.
We'll take a break on Joy News today. We'll be back with business.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to the business segment on Joy News today with me, Pius Kojobaka. The Institute of Economic Affairs has expressed worry about the repetition of past mistakes, which has made the Ghanaian economy unstable over the years. According to the economic think tank, the indiscipline in managing the country's finances has caused the high fiscal deficits and subsequently high inflation and currency instability, forcing innocent Ghanaians and businesses to pay for economic mismanagement. There's more in this report.
In a paper on institutionalizing fiscal indiscipline and macroeconomic stability for sustained growth in Ghana, the Constitutional Pathway, lead researcher Dr. John Kwachi said, Ghana has a long history of fiscal indiscipline, and this is evident in its fiscal deficits being almost consistently higher than those of its peers in Africa. According to him, the deficits tend to escalate in election years when election-related spending are elevated. Then the country borrowed to finance the deficits and caused public debt to escalate to unsustainable levels. Ghana has been in that situation numerous times as the debt reached the first crisis situation in 2004 when it ballooned to over 100% of gross domestic product. This forced the nation to seek relief under the HIPIC initiative, which caused the debt-to-GDP ratio to drop to a sustainable level of 26% in 2006. However, Dr. Kwachi said the country returned to the culture of fiscal indiscipline thereafter, causing the debt to rise yet again. He expressed worry again that the current and past governments have not learned their mistakes after almost 20 years of HIPIC. He added that the country must do everything possible to safeguard or institutionalize fiscal discipline under the Constitution, else it will always record macroeconomic instability.
Now, Chief Operating Officer of People's Pension Trust, Kofi Pole, has called for intensified education to boost the expansion of pensions in the informal sector. According to him, little has been done by way of enlightening players in the informal sector about the importance of pensions. He admonished the regulator and the operators to collaborate and employ the use of technology to drive the expansion of pensions. He's been speaking to Joy Business.
A challenge is lack of education. Pension is not part of our mental calculation. And so we don't think about pension until it creeps on us. I can tell you that by the 2022-2021 NPR annual report, only 4% of the informal sector workers has any form of pension. Now, if you consider the fact that we see that 85% of the working population are in the informal sector and only 4% has a pension, that should tell you that there's still a lot of room for improvement. And it's all basically because of education. Because especially with the informal sector, there's this misconception that they don't go on retirement. Because if I own a car and I'm driving, I think that I'll drive it till the kingdom come. I forget that in my latter years, I may have waist problem, I may have eyesight problems and all that. And that is why we need to talk about pension. It's something, a discussion we need to continue talking about. Because you see, quite apart from the individual benefits of pension, the country benefits from pension funds. Because it is long-term funds, the country is able to develop using pension funds. I think it should be concerted effort. I know the corporate trustees are doing their bits. I know for a fact that NPRA have a month which they make sure that they have programs, they educate people about it. But my challenge is that if it's a month and after the month we all go to sleep, then what happens? And that's why I say that it should be something that all the parties involved should come together.
And that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojobaka. My colleague Darrell Kwa will be here at 1 p.m. with the Marketplace. Sports is next.
Iftar Nabila Abdullah here with sports on Joy News today. Two-time world champion Joseph Agbeko has called on Ghanaians to invest in the sport. According to him, many fans of the sport often criticize boxers when they lose fights, forgetting that they play no role in the success of boxers.
This is what I have to tell Ghanaians. Boxing is a very, very, very tough sport. And the one in the ring wants to win more than you, the one watching. And one thing they have to know is that the government does not invest into our preparation towards any fight. And they, the fans that watch us, they don't even come over there to pay so we can have get some value in terms of bargaining value for our earnings. Do you get me? They only sit here and they watch. And whenever you lose, everyone wants to insult you. Whenever you win, they want to share the glory with you. But whenever you lose, everyone wants to insult you. But you win. You want to win more than they want you to win. You want to do everything more than they want to get it. So if Ghanaians know that they want to criticize boxers, they should be ready to be investing into the preparation of fighters. They should put pressure on the government so the government can invest in the preparation for fighters. Then whenever a fighter loses, like how Black Star, they give money to Black Stars, and when they lose, everyone can insult them. They should be able to put pressure on the government so the government can invest into the preparation of the fighters so that whenever we lose, they can insult us.
That's quite an interesting one. But there are people who also argue that national team is a team sport. Boxing is an individual thing. So there are people who can argue that. And when you're going for a major tournament, it's a tournament that the country has registered to be part of. Boxing is an individual boxer who has gone to register.
So when the individual goes and he wins or he loses, they should keep quiet so that he can come home and have his rest. because it's an individual sport. So they should take their loss individually. They should take it individually so that once they come, it's for them. You didn't do anything. So they go. When you see them, you wave at them or you don't. They are, but if you know, that's all. Don't say anything.
That's your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com and also at 2 p.m. when we come your way with sports today. I am Iftar Nabila. Have live.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on Joy News. Today, our gospel musician and music producer Narcisse and treating music lovers to appreciate music as a tool for business and not a gift that must be used for free. In an exclusive conversation with Joy Entertainment, Narcisse explained that the religious backgrounds of most Ghanaians subconsciously makes them perceive music as a gift one receives freely. Because of this, many don't understand why they must invest heavily in music to enjoy the end benefits of such gifts.
I think almost all the Ghanaians we are like church people. Okay. And some of the things that were preached to us from the beginning is it was given to you for free. So you to give it for free. So anytime a musician is trying to make money from the music, the corporate, the people, the society kind of, why? Why somebody will just come and sing for 15 minutes and the person needs to be paid 50,000 or 100,000? Why? You see, so that has kind of brought us this level where people don't really kind of appreciating talent. All the same, it now is better than before. Now is better than before. So I think it will take time. Maybe some of us, we may not benefit fully, but the next maybe 10, 20 years, those people, enjoy it more. So, and definitely somebody should take the blow for somebody to,
Now, the founder of Chale Wote Street Arts Festival, Manche Aikwe, is claiming ownership of the sample on Drake's Calling My Name track of his 2022 Honestly Nevermind album following a suit by Ghanaian rapper Obrafo. The sample is found at the 53 seconds of the Drake tune, where it transitioned into a house music vibe, sending the song into a different type of ambience compared to the initial trail. In a series of tweets directed at Drake, Manche, as he is popularly called, said that he is the sole owner of the phrase Killer Cat Blood on Obrafo's Oyohene remix. He has called out Obrafo for single-handedly filing a copyright infringement lawsuit against Drake on a project he has an interest in without his notice. Before directing his displeasure at Obrafo, Manche advised Drake and his attorneys to consult his lawyers regarding claims for compensation for the use of the intellectual property. Well, on that note, we end Showbiz here on Joy News Today, the small showbiz news in our subsequent bulletins. Good afternoon to you, Aisha.
Good afternoon, beautiful Becky, and that'll be it for the bulletin this afternoon. Log on to myjournline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.